Hi everyone, welcome back to This Darn Chick's Designs. Today I'm going to show you how to make your own journal. So let's go ahead and let's see if you want to follow along with me. If you have any questions afterwards, just go ahead and put it down below. Thank you for watching and I hope you subscribe to my channel. Okay, so some of the supplies that you're going to need is 8.5 by 11 paper. Okay, you're going to need 2 sheets of that. So what I did was I went ahead and I cut this off of my Cricut and I rounded the corners. So you're gonna need that. You're gonna need your, which is called High Performance. It's 303 High Performance Permanent Adhesive. So you're gonna need that. This actually is good for fabrics and stuff and sticky backs, you know, for our project today. You're gonna need 2 sheets of fabric. So we've got 2 sheets of thin fabric, okay, to embroider on. You're gonna need some little stretchy cord, all right, where you can get at Joann's, you can get at Michael's for that, okay. And the hoop that you're gonna be using today is actually 14B, okay, and that comes from your janome. Then you're also going to need, let's see if I can grab 1 or 2 of them that's over here. They're little grommets is what they are. So you're gonna need these little tiny grommets here, okay? So we're gonna be using those. So you're probably gonna need about probably 3 of them, 2 or 3 of them, and a hole punch, okay? So let's go ahead and we're gonna start your embroidering process. So the very first thing that we're gonna do is we are going to use our Pellon, okay? Pull this up just a little bit so you can see here the whole process. Kind of move it over there. I've got a couple of things going on here. So let me just move this up. Okay, so you take your hoop out, all right? And this has a sticky back to it, okay? This is the Pellon one. I usually just take it, put it right across here. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut a sheet of it. Just slide that sheet off over here. And firmly put it down. Move my fabric out of the way. Firmly put it down. And I like to kind of put a little bit of a crease in around it here because it is kind of stiff. So kind of, you know, line it a little bit just by creasing it down. And then we can go ahead and we can put our top on it. And just remember, because it is so thick, you may have to kind of mess with it just a little bit. You know, just kind of pull it over from side to side because it's very thick, okay? But it does do well for the project. Next, what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your scissors and you're gonna score a line across and then peel from those sides. So I normally just peel from side to side here. Here. This is your sticky part, okay? Just kind of pull it. I like to get as much off of it as possible, especially when I'm embroidering. And we're only going to be embroidering 1 sheet of fabric because we're not going to need the other one, because 1 sheet's going to go on the inside and then 1 sheet's going to go on the outside, okay? So you're going to take your fabric, because you got 2 pieces here, set your one to the side there, and whichever way that your janome goes, mine goes this way, it goes to my right. Then you're going to want to start embroidering. So I just place the fabric down, kind of go all the way around to the sides of it there, and then take it to my machine. And then, so we will go from there. Okay, so we're using the square 14 right here, square 14B, 140 by 140. And I decided to pick out a sunflower. So we're gonna go ahead and start that. It does take about 32 minutes in order to get it done. So we're gonna go ahead and start that one, okay? And each one of them, there's green, yellow, and then there's a darker yellow that actually goes with it. So let's go ahead. We're gonna put this down here, and then we're gonna go ahead and start. Always like to just kind of pull on that string there, just kind of get it out of the way so I can see my progress. See if I can get this. There we go, a little bit closer. So now that we're done, we came out with a really, really pretty sunflower, okay? Once you're finished with it, you wanna bring it over to your table, and then you're gonna wanna go ahead and you wanna iron it down a little bit. We wanna try to keep it as flat as possible. So it's probably gonna look like it's pulled from the sides and stuff like that, but that's just because you're trying to get it ironed down here, because you want it to be as flat as possible, okay? So you can usually just take it and go back and forth, and that gets it pretty flat. Next thing that you want to do is you've got a paper here, piece of paper. This is the 8.5 by 11 that my Cricut went ahead and kind of cut out in like a little bit of an oval looking shape here. And so let me turn my fan off here. It's a little warm in my craft room here. So once you're done with that, what you're gonna do is you're gonna wanna go ahead and you're gonna wanna go spray this sheet of paper. Because what's gonna happen is once you get this on, it's gonna be really tacky. Then you're gonna be able to put your sheet over top of it. So I'm gonna go ahead and spray this. And then once I get that over there, then I want to figure out exactly where I want to put my design. because this stuff becomes tacky really, really quick. Try to pull it over here just a little bit. Let's see, maybe there. Yeah, okay. And so once it's done, just kind of want to go ahead and just, you can use your fingers, you can use a little credit card or whatever, but we want to try to get this down and all the way around. Kind of moved out there, make it look real pretty. I got this, I know, it's a joy, I'll do the Joy World thing, but hey, it'll help me with getting it all flattened out here. Okay, all right, so once it's flattened out, I kind of centered it over just a little bit there. You're probably gonna have some bubbles on there. Try to scoot those out if you can. Okay. You won't see the bubbles as much with darker fabrics, but because we embroidered on this, you're gonna see them just a little bit more. So just try to get them out if you can, and side to side there. Now, once you're done, this is your first part. This is the outside of your journal, okay? So usually what I do is kind of take it and fold it a little bit, because it's gonna wrap, the little flower is gonna wrap all the way around to the side there. So I just wanted to make sure that it did. And then, so once you're done with that, then you're going to go ahead and take adhesive tape and go all the way around these corners here, okay? Because after a while, it's gonna have to be sewed. So let's go ahead and do that. The tape that I use for the adhesive tape is the crafter's tape, and it's a permanent tape. Usually it's used for paper, journals, things like that, so which is what we're doing today, but you can also use it for your fabric. So normally what I do is I go over here and I just go down each side, and if I think that my fabric's a little bit too long, then I can go ahead and cut it. So we're just gonna go ahead and just kind of trim it through here. You don't want to trim it too short because then you won't be able to get your edges. And so you can take it, turn your fabric, okay? And I'm gonna just go around this little edge here. Pull it this way. And then we're gonna turn it back this way here. Okay, so once you've trimmed around the sheet of your fabric there, once you've done that, then you go ahead and you put your adhesive tape on each side. So this is what we're gonna do, and then you're gonna fold it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and fold it over because the fabric is so thin, it'll actually go ahead and take it right away. It'll just adhere to it. So those little pieces. I always think the corner edges of everything is so much so much harder to do. So just go ahead, put some more here. We want to get this as tight as possible all the way around. Doesn't matter what the edges look like at this point, because what we're going to do is put the other piece over and sew around it, okay? So you're going to go from side to side. This stuff is great, by the way. It's, I mean, I just love it. I got it at Michael's, so I really love it. It's the crafter's tape. You could use it for, you know, your fabric, for your papers, cardstocks, journals, books, you name it, you can use it. Okay, so pretty much everything is adhered, okay? So the next thing we want to do is go ahead and start on our second piece. So, because we're not going to have a design to that second piece, we're just going to go ahead and lay the fabric over top of it once it's sprayed. So what I'm going to do right now, though, it needs to be ironed. So we're going to iron this piece, okay? Kind of iron it out. We want to make sure it's flat. And then once that piece is ironed, I like to shake it out just a little bit there. Okay, we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna use the spray adhesive again, all right? So we're gonna go ahead and use that. Get it over here and spray it. And this stuff does work really quick. So it's pretty cool to have this around. And then lay your sheet over top of it and just go from side to side. You can just use your hands for it. Kind of pat it out side to side there. Because once we get done, we got to flip it over, and then we're going to go ahead and trim all of our edges again. We're going to do the same thing. Use our tape, and we're going to go around all the edges, all four corners, okay? Nice ran out there. And then we're just gonna fold these corners all the way down. Doesn't matter if it's messy or anything because you're not gonna see it. And just go from side to side, roll up the corners. And if the corners are kind of sticking, just put a little bit more down there, and then it'll just grab it. Right here, hold all your corners all the way down. You see how fast that stuff sticks? It's great. Absolutely love it. And I just kind of folded that area there and this area here. Now, this is the cool part of the whole project, okay? What you're gonna do is you're going to spray the back part, okay, of where your design's at, the opposite side of the paper, all right? Once you do that, you're going to lay it down on top and make sure that they both fit together. So I'm gonna go ahead and spray this. Okay. And then I'm just going to flip this down and then try to make sure that the edges touch as close as it can. That's my Cricut. Hold on here. Turn that off there just for a moment. Once it's done, you want to turn it over and check the sides. See that? So you got one full sheet of your journal. Now what we're going to do now is we're going to take it over to the sewing machine and we're going to sew all the way around these corners. We're going to stitch all the way around it. Okay, so we sewed around all the edges of our journal here. Okay, so we sewed all the way around these edges here. Next thing that you want to do is you want to get yourself a ruler, okay? And so basically what that's doing is going to show you how to cut this in half. So you know where to put your grommets at, okay? So, and this is what we'll be using. These are just little grommets that you'll be pulling in there. And so for me, mine will probably be, and I just kind of just fold it over to see exactly where that middle edge is going to be at. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go ahead and just kind of pull it over. Push it down just a little bit there, just so we know where our edges are going to be at. Doesn't have to be flat. We just need to know what that center is going to be. So normally what I do is I usually have like an eyelet that goes in here, or not an eyelet, but a knoll that goes in here. However, I can't seem to find that today. So we're going to use a leather punch. Let's see if this leather punch will work for us for today. Aha! So it did. See that? This leather punch is really, really cool. So you can actually go ahead and move it from side to side here. Let's see how big we want this. Let's try for just a little bit bigger of a hole, okay? go right where the first one was at. There we go, that helped out a lot. So normally I just kind of go through and just kind of dig in that area. See, that made our hole. So what we want to do is go from the back side, turn it over. Let's pull this through here, okay. We're gonna stick this in through the hole if we can get it in there. Let's go ahead and just try to do that. So once you get this grommet pulled through here, pushed through here, what you're gonna do is take your other tool, okay? This is your leather tool, all right, to make a hole with. This right here is for your other grommets, okay? And basically, these just kind of screw on through here. And you want to just go ahead and grab it and clamp it. Once it's clamped, it will actually roll over the sides there, and you can actually be able to put your string through. So we're gonna go ahead and do the second one. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna go ahead and put your second grommet in, okay? So, and you wanna push it down. Sometimes I had to push it down with my nails here. Take your tool. And then just press down. And what it does is it makes a little mark and it goes right on in. So the next thing that you want to do is go ahead and you want to run your string. These are just the little flexible elastic cord. And you just want to cut a couple pieces off of it. You don't need a whole lot because this is going to stretch. You're going to want to start from here and bring it down, and that shows you'll have two, okay? Kind of bring this up through here. You're basically just kind of weaving it around in there. So you're going up through one hole and down the next. Let's go ahead, stick this in here. And you want to do it from the inside. So you want to make sure that each parts are on the inside and not the outside, because you don't want that to be on the outside of your journal. Okay. Once you get that done, you'll have 1, 2. You can make as many as you want, okay? Because every time you make one of these, then you can fit another book in it. So let's just go here one more time. And we're gonna go through that little hole there, pull it out, okay? Once you're finished, make sure it's tight, okay? Not too tight where it pulls us up, but tight. Then you're gonna make just a little knot, okay? And this knot will stay in there. This is on the inside. That little knot there. And what you can do is, if you want it, you can actually go ahead and put, well, if I can get it here, put yourself a little stone in there like this, and then kind of tie it here so it kind of hangs down. Okay? You do it that way or whichever way you want to do it. It doesn't matter. Now, you're also going to need a grommet for this side. Okay? So we're going to get our other one. Okay. So I think I'm going to have mine about right here. Okay, there's my hole. And then I just kind of go back and adjust. We're going to put another one in here. Just kind of go to probably maybe this one and go back over that hole. So it makes a larger hole. And then normally I'll just go right back in here, just to make sure that it went through and it did exactly what it's supposed to do. Kind of clear out that hole just a little bit. Because sometimes you'll get fabric, you know, little pieces of fabric from it. So, and we want this one to be on the outside. try to take it and try to push it through there. Just kind of clear it out just a little bit more. Try to push this through. Okay, there. We're gonna go ahead and take our tool. And there you go. There, you made your hole right there. I like to go back in sometimes to just make sure it's a little bit more secure so it stays. Next thing you're going to want to do is go ahead and take yourself a little piece of stretchy cord here. Now, this is the tricky part. When I'm doing these, I always forget exactly how long I'm going to need this cord. So what I do is go ahead and make a knot, okay, right here. Actually, let me just pull this out here, because I don't want to make a knot right there, because it has to actually go around it. So sometimes you can just kind of go from here and then go through. Okay. So we can kind of pull it through, because we want to know exactly where it's going to go to. Okay. So we're going to take it, we're going to pull it through the hole. Okay. And what I like to do is kind of take a couple of these little stones here and just put them on. See if I can get this one through here. These little stones on. And then we're just going to go ahead and tie it. Now this is where we get to the point where we got to find out whether or not it's going to be tight enough, because depends on how many books that you're going to have in there. You're going to put a little knot in there, okay? Go through, put another little knot, all right? So when we close this up, you're going to have to make sure this is flattened down, okay? And you can actually take it and pull it over to the top, right here. So these little guys, you can put from side to side. Now what I normally do is kind of pull this over. What I'll normally do is just kind of pull it over like this, and maybe I'll snap a couple of these off just because we don't need them. You want to make sure that everything's tight, but also you want to also make sure you don't see that. You don't want to really see this if you don't have to. So you can kind of just move it back around this way or this way, whichever way you want to do it, to try to hide that little piece there. So now next thing is to put your books in it. This is to show you how many of these little books you can fit in. So some of these are like 5x7s, little books that you can put in here, because you know you're going, this is 8.5 by 11, okay? So once it's cut down, it's a little bit smaller than that. So you're going to want to go ahead, you could slide this little book in, you could slide, I know this is a little bit larger, but it's just to show you how many books you can actually slide in here. Here's another book, because we have another one of these stretchy cords here, a little bit elastic. You know, you can put in, I mean, obviously you want to stay to the side that, you know, the 5.5 by 7s if you can, okay? But you could put this in, you could go ahead and put another book in. I mean, you've got multiple ways of putting these books in. So here's another one right here. You know, you just can keep piling them on and piling them on. As long as they're close to the same size as what this is, you're fine. And then once you do that, let's take out this larger one, just so we can kind of show you what it looks like here. This was my granddaughter's little thing I made her. She likes coloring books, so I went ahead and made her a coloring book. So once you're done, you just take it, your cord, pull it over to the sides there, and then you've got your pretty little gems that are down here. Like I said, you can tighten this if you feel like it's not tight enough, but you can go ahead and tighten it up. So which is probably what I'll plan on doing, and I'll probably just tighten it up just a little bit more. Let me just go ahead while we're here doing that. Okay. And so I will just go ahead and just tighten it a little bit more. They're really easy to make. They're great for notes. Like if you have a little journal that you want to put this in, this is what this is to hold all your note journals. You know, anything that you want to hold in here, you can. I mean, these are great to use and stuff. Well, thank you so much for being here today. Give me a thumbs up. Let me know what you think of the project. And I enjoyed being here with you. This is an awesome project to do. Try one out. See what you think about it. This came out really pretty. So I think that, I mean, it's very nice. So I'll probably wind up selling this online. Have a nice day. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe.